What's up, guys? We're the Sports Addicts podcast, and we're back again to discuss if the Blazers are real contenders in the West. So, Joel, take it away.
Yeah, as we saw, the Blazers pulled off an upset win to take a 1-0 series lead over the Lakers. And I think that this production can actually last throughout an entire series. I think the Blazers can potentially pull off an upset win and be one of the rare 8 seeds to defeat the number 1 seed. So if we look at that game, the Blazers versus the Lakers game, the reason the Blazers won was that they jumped out to an early lead. The largest lead of the game was 16. The Blazers were leading by 16 at one point in the game. And because of that large lead, the Lakers are forced to chuck threes upon threes, and they really don't have any shooters. Dion Waiters inconsistent, J.R. Smith inconsistent. Kuzma's been okay, but he didn't shoot great last time. And Anthony Davis actually started shooting a lot of threes, and he missed most of them. And this early lead, it forced the Lakers to go away from where they have the advantage. They're obviously Anthony Davis, LeBron. They're big. They can score over anyone. There's no one on the Blazers that can guard those two. But that big lead forced Davis especially to go away from the post where he thrives so much and chuck up contested mid-range jumpers and three-pointers. And that seemed to work. And another thing that I wanted to point out is that Hassan Whiteside had an amazing game last year. He blocked like 5 shots. Although Anthony Davis, when he did go into the post, when he had his way with the bigs, but Yusuf Nurkic, he had a double-double in the first quarter alone. They actually played better defense than I expected them to, in that they were able to get those easy rebounds, and they were able to force the Lakers shooters to shoot from 3, where they were really inconsistent. And then if we go on to offense, it's really a huge mismatch for the Lakers because the Lakers don't have anyone they can guard a star point guard, let alone a guy like Dame Lillard, who's been going off in the bubble. And this is where Avery Bradley's presence is sorely missed. I mean, he was like the guy that they could put on guys like Dame, Russell Westbrook, Kyrie Irving, Steph Curry. And now they don't have anyone. They're forced to play caldwell-pope, who was horrendous, absolutely horrendous yesterday, or Alex Caruso, who really couldn't guard Dame, or Danny Green, who was really inefficient on both the offensive and defensive end. So Dame had his way with them yesterday. And the thing is, if they're going to trap Dame, if they're going to double him, he's always going to find the open man. And that's why the Blazers' offense is so effective, because guys like Carmelo can hit a shot. CJ McCollum can hit a shot. You saw Gary Trent Jr., he can hit a shot. Yusuf Nurkic can provide the consistent post presence. I mean, like, these guys perfectly complement Dame's game. I mean, Dame can run a screen with Nurkic. He could drop the ball off to Nurkic if he's doubled, and Nurkic can make a good pass. And the Lakers are going to have a tough time defending Dame, because especially since he can pull up from anywhere on the court. He pulled up from like 30 to 35 feet so many times. So if they're going to trap him from that high, Dame can just drop the ball off to Melo or McCollum, and it's basically just like a 4-on-3 game by then. And I think that this can actually last throughout the entire series, and we can see the Blazers beating the Lakers in potentially 6 or 7 games. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, so I agree with your statement. With the Blazers, they're definitely not the typical 8 seed. Their talent is, like, in my opinion, their talent might be more than the Lakers, besides their 2 stars. Like, if you look at the Lakers role players, they're all inconsistent. KCP is just not good anymore. He isn't the shooter that he once was in Detroit. And you look at Danny Green, he used to be like a really good, consistent player for the Raptors last year and the Spurs, and this year he had a career low year. So I think the Lakers, unless they start hitting threes, I don't think they really have a shot. AD going 8 for 24 yesterday, it was really terrible. Like, a big man should never go 8 for 24. And if it wasn't for the line, he probably would score like less than 20 points, in my opinion. I think AD really was one of the main reasons they lost yesterday. And I think if the defense continues on AD and LeBron stays less aggressive and more passive and tries to make the right play all the time, I don't think the Lakers can pull this one off. And it might be a really big upset for LeBron's legacy as well.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, as we saw yesterday, it was guys like Carmelo Anthony, Gary Trent Jr., that were guarding LeBron. I mean, like, he could score on all of them with ease. But for some reason, he just decided to pass the ball. I mean, sure, there were open shots, but the Lakers shot 15% from 3 against the Blazers in Game 1. I mean, that's really horrible. I mean, at one point, you have to stop passing to those guys that are wide open and just be aggressive, assert yourself. And LeBron's refusing to do that. And I feel like if he's not aggressive, the Blazers are going to run away with the series.
Yeah. The problem with LeBron is, like, he tries to make the right play way too often, in my opinion. Like, he has a talent, obviously, to be great at making shots, right? He's one of the best players in the world and best players of all time. The problem with LeBron is he just sometimes just tries to pass to the guys, and their guys are just not consistent enough for them to win. Like, I think the loss of Avery Bradley and Rajon Rondo is really important because Rajon Rondo is another guy that can create offense for teams. And Avery Bradley, in my opinion, is the most consistent shooter they have besides Anthony Davis and LeBron James. And Anthony Davis himself is not as great of a shooter that as people say he is. And he's a big man. He's a guy that can battle down low against the big men that the Blazers have. But I feel like the Blazers' big men are just playing better at this point. So, my opinion, I think the Lakers are in trouble unless LeBron finds a way to play more aggressive. And I think the Blazers can definitely steal the series. And if they do, it's going to take a big hit on LeBron's legacy. And I think there's no way that he can really be the GOAT, in my opinion, if the Lakers lose the series.
Just one last question for you. If the Lakers were to win the series, what adjustment do you think they're going to have to make?
Yeah, so I think first thing they need to do is bench either KCP or Danny Green. Like, both of them were terrible yesterday. And they're playing Alex Caruso way too many minutes. They need to play, in my opinion, J.R. Smith. I feel like him and Dion Waiters, they're spark plugs. And I think these Danny Green and KCP, there's not enough spark plugs. They're good spacers, right? But the problem with Danny Green is that he can't put the ball on the floor. If you look at Dion Waiters, he doesn't need LeBron to create for him to score. Dion Waiters can create by himself. He's known as that in the NBA. And even though he has some antics in Miami earlier in the season, I think Dion Waiters is definitely a game changer for them, and he needs to be playing more minutes than 1 minute that he played yesterday. So I think those two definitely can make a change for them, and they need to start letting Carmelo Anthony and Gary Trent beat them. So I think if they can put in Dion Waiters and Frank Vogel can manage the minutes of LeBron and AD properly, they can definitely win.
And one more point to bring up, JaVale McGee was actually terrible yesterday. The Lakers were outscored a lot when he was on the floor. And Davis refuses to play at center.
Yeah, the problem with AD is that if he shoots 8 for 24 every game, they're hopeless. I think AD has to score 30 plus, especially with LeBron playing less aggressive. Anthony Davis has to be their best player. He has to be the best player on the floor right now, and he isn't right now. Damian Lillard is just taking over. They need to find a way to guard Damian Lillard. I don't know what they're going to do. They're just going to have to leave Carmelo Anthony open and let him beat them. He's made clutch shots in the past. He's made them in the last couple games, but I don't think he can consistently do it. So they're going to have to let Gary Trent and Carmelo Anthony beat them like the Blazers are letting Danny Green and KCP beat them. So they have to play the percentage game, and right now they're not doing that. So
yeah, at this point, I feel like it's just like the Lakers' main strategy should be just score more points on offense. Forget defense. The Blazers are going to score all over you.
No, their defense is good, actually. The Lakers' defense, it's not as bad as advertised. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's good when playing guys like Kawhi or Paul George. But when you're playing small, shifty guys, like Dame Lillard is so fast. Like, if you're gonna guard him from the logo, he's gonna blow past you and hit an open shooter. They'll make there's really no one that can guard one. That's why Avery Bradley opting out was such a huge loss for them. He wouldn't have stopped him, but he would have.
Avery Bradley was, in my opinion, the third best player. I think he's better than Kyle Kuzma. He just had a couple bad seasons in the past, but when he was with the Celtics, he was really good. He was a great role player, in my opinion.
Yeah, at this point, AD, LeBron, they need to just start scoring. Forget the other players, start scoring, and that's the way that I see the Lakers taking this series.
Which I have one more question for you. So how far do you think the Blazers can go if they get through the first round against the Lakers?
So if the Blazers win, they will be playing whoever wins the Houston versus OKC matchup. Houston, as of now, is up 1-0. So if Houston wins, Houston faces the same problem. Their defenders are much better. They have much more small ball defenders. But if you're going to put guys like Robert Covington on Dame Lillard, the same thing. He has a speed advantage. And I feel like they could potentially make the Western Conference Finals. It's not actually that far.
Yeah, I think they can get past the Rockets. The Rockets right now, they're just looking good because OKC can't find a way to score. OKC doesn't have enough scorers on the team, or else the Rockets would definitely lose as well. And the Rockets obviously are playing without Westbrook. And the Blazers are also playing without, potentially the third best player, in my opinion. Zach Collins, last year in the playoffs, he was really good. He's a big part of their future, and he's not even playing right now. So if the Blazers can get him back healthy, that team is already pretty deep, in my opinion. So if they can get him healthy, they can definitely make a run for the finals. But they still have to get through the first round. One game could be an overreaction. They could have gotten lucky. But, yeah, I think that's going to wrap up our talk about the Blazers. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And thanks for watching.